She snapped at a quiet old man over a burger order, then froze when she realized he was Morgan Freeman, the secret king of her workplace. The afternoon sun streamed through the wide windows of Sierra Grill, a cozy little spot tucked in Carmel by the Sea, California. It wasn't fancy, just a blend of weathered wood and sleek touches, the kind of place locals flock to on a lazy Thursday. For Megan, a 23-year-old waitress scraping by, the charm didn't cut through her exhaustion. Her shift had been a mess from the jump, plates piling up, tempers flaring, chaos nonstop. "Table 7 wants more ranch," a coworker barked. Megan barely looked up, scribbling orders as her ponytail bounced with every hurried step. She darted between tables, fielding gripes about cold fries, split tabs, and missing sodas. The past hour alone, 3 jerks had stiffed her on tips, leaving nothing but loose change and smug looks. So when a gray-haired man in his 80s shuffled in and claimed a corner table, Megan's patience was already shot. He didn't look like much. Faded plaid shirt, scuffed jeans, a beat-up fedora parked beside his elbow. His boots carried the grit of years on back roads. Megan sized him up with a quick glance, her lip twitching. "Perfect," she hissed under her breath. "Another cheapskate who'll nurse a coffee and toss me a buck." But duty called. Her co-worker elbowed her, muttering, "Table 12's yours." With a sigh, Megan plastered on a thin smile and marched over, notepad in hand. "What can I get you?" she asked, her voice edged with irritation. The man looked up, his deep-set eyes locking on hers for a beat. Something about him felt familiar, but she brushed it off. "Just a burger," he said, his voice a low rumble, smooth yet heavy, like it carried stories she'd never hear. "Burger. Anything else?" Her pen tapped the pad impatiently. "No, ma'am," he replied, tipping his hat a touch. She smirked, turning away. "Ma'am, seriously?" she muttered, heading for the kitchen. But as she pushed through the swinging doors, a nagging feeling tugged at her. He wasn't loud, rude, or needy like the rest. He had this quiet gravity, like he was waiting for something big. She shook it off. Just another order, another table. Minutes later, she slung his burger down with a clatter, her energy drained, her smile a ghost. "Here you go," she said, shoving a ketchup bottle his way. "Need anything else?" He eyed the plate, then her. "Looks good. Thank you." His tone was warm but firm, making her feel oddly exposed. She lingered, not sure why she hadn't bolted to the next task. His calm rubbed her wrong. Everyone else was a mess, yelling or scrambling, but not him. "You're not local, huh?" she blurted, leaning on the table's edge. "Nope," he said, slicing his burger with slow, deliberate care. "Knew it," she shot back, smirking. "That hat screams, I just wandered off a movie set." His mouth quirked. A half smile, nothing more. "Something like that," he said, unruffled. She'd expected a snap or a frown, but his coolness only ticked her off more. She was done playing nice. "You know," she said, dropping her voice, "most folks here don't roll in looking like they herd cattle for a living." He took a bite, chewing thoughtfully before replying. "Guess I'm not most folks." The words landed soft but solid, catching her off guard. She felt a twinge of shame but smothered it fast. "Enjoy your food," she said, shoving off the table and storming away before he could respond. She thought she'd won that round, but as she cleared plates nearby, she caught him watching her. Not creepy, just steady, like he was sizing her up. It rattled her, and she couldn't pin why. The lunch crowd thinned, and Sierra Grill settled into a hum. Megan slumped against the counter, scrolling her phone, stealing glances at table 12. The man ate slow, sipping water, taking in the room like he owned it. "Hey," her coworker Danny said, passing by. "That guy's chill weirds me out, like he's soaking it all in." Megan shrugged. "Some people got nothing better to do." Danny grinned. "Bet he's somebody. Looks familiar, right?" "Famous, please," Megan scoffed. "If he's a star, I'm a billionaire." Danny didn't push, and Megan didn't care to guess. She snagged his check and strode over, keeping it short. "Here's your bill. Whenever you're ready." He glanced at it but didn't move. Instead, he fixed those eyes on her. "You like this gig?" he asked, calm but pointed. She faltered, smile slipping. "It's fine. Pays the bills, you know." He nodded, unreadable. A job's what you make it, but you seem weighed down today. Her face heated. Who was this guy to judge her vibe? Rough shift, she snapped, arms crossing. Not everyone gets to kick back with a burger and play therapist. He didn't flinch, just leaned back with that faint smile. Fair point, but how you handle people in the thick of it, that's who you are. Anger flared. She wanted to bite back, but he stood, pulling cash from his wallet. Think on that, he said, dropping bills on the table. Thanks for the grub. Yeah, whatever, Grandpa, she muttered as he headed out. But then the manager, Carol, a tough-as-nails type, bustled from the office, beaming. Mr. Freeman, didn't know you'd drop in today, she said, shaking his hand. Megan's gut dropped. Freeman? Morgan Freeman? She spun toward the door, eyes wide as he glanced back, locking eyes with her, a flicker of knowing in his gaze, before stepping outside. She hadn't just mouthed off to some nobody. She'd dissed the guy who owned the joint. Her notepad nearly slipped from her grip as she stared at the exit. Morgan freaking Freeman. Her brain spun. Every snip, every jab replayed in HD. Carol's voice cut through. Megan, can you believe it? Mr. Freeman. He's been slammed lately. Haven't seen him in ages. Yeah, wild, Megan mumbled, barely audible. Carol gushed on. This place is his baby. Every chair, every menu item. He's in the details. That's why we push staff to bring their A game. Never know when he'll pop by. Megan's stomach churned. 2 years here, and she'd ignored the whispers about the big shot owner. Now her snark was a neon sign flashing idiot. You good? Danny asked, clocking her ghost-white face. Need a sec, she croaked, bolting to the break room. Alone, she slumped into a chair, breath shaky. How had she missed it? And what now? She didn't know it yet, but Morgan wasn't through with her. Next shift, Megan dragged in, dread gnawing her gut. Sleep had dodged her, her mind looping that look he'd given her. What if he'd ratted to Carol? Rent loomed, loans stacked. She couldn't lose this gig. She overcompensated all morning, smiling hard, topping off drinks, kissing up to every table. It was the most she'd tried in forever. Lunch hit, and the place buzzed. Wiping a table, she froze at that unmistakable voice. Busy day, huh? There he was, Morgan Freeman, hands in pockets. Same low-key vibe, but now his presence loomed huge. Her smile wobbled. Mr. Freeman, hi. Didn't expect you back so soon. Like to keep an eye on my spots, he said, tilting his head. Keeps folks sharp. She gulped, palms slick. Right, everything's smooth today. He nodded, scanning the room. I see that. You're wound tight, though. Of course he'd notice. About yesterday, he raised a hand. No need. I'm not here to bust you. You're not, she blinked. Nope, he said, steady as ever. But there's a takeaway here. You don't always know who's across from you or what they're carrying. Kindness stretches far. Her throat caught. She nodded, humbled, as his words sank in. I've had rough days too, he added, softer now. How you push through. That's your mark. People see it. Her face burned. Not from anger, but from the quiet truth in his tone. He wasn't scolding. He was handing her something real. Thank you, she whispered. Really? He smiled, small but warm. You're welcome. Every moment's a shot. Make it count. With a hat tip, he strolled out, leaving her reeling, a weird mix of shame and spark lighting her up. For once, she wanted to be more. Weeks later, Morgan's words stuck like glue. Every moment's a shot. Make it count. She wasn't big on fake cheer, but his steady wisdom hit home. She started small. A spilled juice from a harried mom got a no sweat, happens to everyone, instead of a sigh. A slow-talking couple got patient repeats of the specials, plus her 2 cents on the best picks. And the wild part? The nicer she was, the lighter she felt. One night, Carol called her into the office. Megan braced for bad news. You've been here a while, Carol said, hands clasped. Lately, you're different. Better. Customers feel it. One even wrote you up on a card. Megan's chest puffed, stunned. Thanks. I didn't think anyone noticed. Keep it rolling, Carol said, grinning. Whatever flipped the switch, it's working. Walking out, Megan smiled. Really smiled. She wasn't perfect, but she was moving. That night, locking up, she eyed the Sierra Grill sign. It wasn't just a paycheck now. It was her proving ground. All thanks to the quiet legend who'd strolled in and flipped her world with a burger and a lesson. Sometimes the tiniest exchanges spark the biggest shifts. Every day's a chance to level up. If this hit you, smash that like, share it with someone who needs a nudge, and subscribe for more raw stories and lessons on keeping it kind.